All right, everybody, welcome in. We are back for episode 19, the Bernie Kosar episode of the Barking Brown Show. I am your co-host, Jacob, over at Roachism13, joined as always by the man that never misses, my wonderful co-host, Nick Carnes at Carnsies817. Nick, I know you're doing a lot better than I am tonight, so how are we doing?
I'm riding high tonight, Jacob. I am riding high. And the reason
He's left me alone for about an hour. So, like, he hasn't said anything to me for about an hour, but I think I'm about to step firmly in it.
So, for those who don't know, we had two bets. The first bet was when I came out with my initial 53, I said KhaDarel Hodge was getting the axe. No offense to KhaDarel. Like KhaDarel. Think he's a talented wide receiver. So Jacob felt firmly that Hodge would be here, and so we placed a bet on that. And as KhaDarel Hodge,
very firmly,
as KhaDarel Hodge is no longer a Brown, I have won the bet. If he comes back, that would be really cool. I have no idea what the odds of that are, but as it sits, I have won the bet because the final 53-man roster as it sits does not have KhaDarel Hodge. So we got that, and then. While I was in Columbus on vacation, so Jacob did his 53 initially, and then I did my 53 in Columbus.
We did that on our episode with Cammie Justice.
Yes, that was yours, and then So that was a two-parter, right? Because you did yours in an episode, and I did mine in another.
We did yours. We did mine when Cammie was with us, and then the following week you threw one together.
Yeah,
on vacation, which was rather impressive.
So I was just like, I was feeling good. I was in vacation mode, and I just swung for the fences. I was like, Michael Dunn in, Blake Hance in, Malik McDowell. What do we even know about that guy? And July 27th, nothing. Malik McDowell's in, and just various other things like that. And here we are. Now, this is no knock on Jacob either, who was damn good in his roster predictions. Just a little bit shorter. Then, through Andy's point system, I guess I got 53 because you got points if you predicted the accurate number of each position group. So, like, if there's 5 wide receivers total.
Yeah, there was some doubles in there. It wasn't just straight up.
To help break ties and that type of thing. So, but anyway, I swung for the fences, and very much like Andrew Berry did with Malik McDowell, this is now a Malik McDowell Stan account. And I'm riding high is how I'm feeling.
This is a Malik McDowell Stan podcast from now on. We broke down Malik McDowell. We said this many a times that, we talked about him with Sam Penix way back in episode 6.
Well, I got to find that now, a headliner.
Yeah, we'll have to dig up some of that. And talk about some of that. But I broke down Sam Penix for the show, Malik McDowell for the show when we were doing our deep dives on the rookies. We threw McDowell in there. I mean, we said it back then that he was like at Michigan State, he was in Myles Garrett's draft class, and he was said to potentially have been the most physically gifted defensive lineman in that entire class. And Myles Garrett was in that class. And we know what Myles Garrett is now, but we also know what Myles Garrett was at that time, especially as a prospect. McDowell is easily, of all of those interior defensive linemen, all those guys we talked about, easily has the most upside on that defense, especially in that room. His upside potential is it's through the roof. I love Tommy Togiai. I liked Marvin Wilson. That didn't work out. Tommy Togiai made the roster. But they just don't have that upside. Like, look at that man. I'm watching him again today. He was talking. He gave a 9-minute interview. If you haven't had the opportunity to go over and see that interview with him, you need to go see it. Malik McDowell did things to people this past weekend that I've never seen a Browns interior defensive lineman ever do. Nope. I love Sheldon Richardson. He's not capable of the things I just saw. Second, third stringers, Atlanta, I get that. But this is a dude, and John Spencer kind of, and I'm going here. John weighs in. Malik's path to this point is so inspiring. He talked about it today, man. He talked about he was in prison and he said, I'm going to play football. He made a promise to his mom. And then he said something along the lines of, the Browns took a chance on me. I'm going to reward that. And Nick, you've said it. I've said it. Everybody else is starting to say it. This dude doesn't even have technique yet.
No.
This guy is not technical sound. He's bigger, he's stronger than you, and he will impose his will on you. Can you imagine if he takes some tips from Myles Garrett, from Jadeveon Clowney, from Malik Jackson, an old grizzled veteran pass rushing D tackle? He looks more like a defensive end than D tackle, so it's going to be very, very fascinating to how they use him. But easily the best and most pleasant surprise of this. And I'll ask you, maybe for some others, let's ask all of you guys that are tuning in, feel free to, for me, and I think Nick stands with me, easily the best surprise, the most we knew the talent was there. And then he got hurt. I thought he's going to the practice squad, especially when he missed all of that time. He missed the first preseason game. Maybe he'll get in there. Maybe, I don't know what's going on. And then he gets in there for 2 weeks in a row. And we're just like, whoa. Malik, I saw our friend Stephen Thomas, friend of the show, jumped on the show a couple of weeks ago, say to when he did to Atlanta, and he said, Malik, that guy's got a family.
Yeah, I saw that,
and I was just like, that's the best way to do. Easily, guys, like easily for me. If you're like going to ask me, and I know this isn't really where we were going, but this is kind of where I've come to. Easily, Malik McDowell was the best and most pleasant surprise of this training camp because we didn't get to see a lot of the starters. Yeah. And we had a real show last week where we said, hey, I do not know what's going on in that defensive tackle room. Malik McDowell and then Jordan Elliott, like the top 100 pick we thought he was last year before he underwhelmed. Jordan Elliott graded an 89 this week. That's back-to-back really high weeks.
I didn't see the grades. Yet. Was Malik up there as well?
No, Malik McDowell's rating was a 63. It was kind of one of those he overran a couple of run plays, and he only had like 19 snaps. And if you have like one or two bad plays in a small sample size, it can really hurt your grade. But Malik McDowell, like Cameron Malvo's 2 sacks were Malik McDowell. He caused those.
Yeah.
He had a half a sack himself, but I'm just saying, and somebody commented on a couple of I had a McDowell post as well, and I got many comments that said, well, imagine him with Myles and Clowney. And I'm like, don't you have any worry about that? I am already thinking about it.
We have so much to cover tonight, and so I know that, and I know we've already talked a lot about McDowell, but that's just because, both of us feel strongly. But all I want to say in conclusion is when I did the 53-man roster, I sent it to one of my more negative group chats, and they told me nothing short of I was on drugs for thinking Malik McDowell was going to make the Browns roster. And so just before the show, I've been emboldened today. And so just before the show, I sent out a tweet and I said, it will not be long before Malik McDowell is the Browns' best defensive tackle. And that is where I sit now. That man is going to be a starter, and he's going to be our best tackle. And I will not come off the hill. He's going to make the team, and now he's going to be our best tackle.
I think if we get – and obviously they're going to play some starters, so he's going to play better competition going forward. But if you get Malik McDowell of this week, of last week, the only person I'm putting ahead of him right now is Malik Jackson. Maybe Jordan Elliott, because Jordan Elliott's got some more experience, a little bit more exposure. So on the rotation, he's 2-3, somewhere in there. And I get Andrew Billings is like a special case because he's probably the only true one tech. Tommy Togiai is kind of a one tech, but that's like a weird situation where he's been awful. Something that we needed to bring up that Nick was compared to the likes of Shel Silverstein today. Which was phenomenal. For those of you joining us on the YouTube that doesn't follow Twitter or our Twitters, which is fine at all, Nick has a way with words that it just rubs some people the wrong way. And I'm not even so sure why they get so upset.
Oh, man.
But it's just like the bully you faced in high school. They're like, well, if you react, he's going to keep doing it.
It's not gonna stop.
It's not.
I had a couple of people really upset today.
I didn't see the super bad ones. I saw a couple. But he went after the Steelers fans fighting, the Steelers players fighting in practice yesterday, which I knew was going to happen. And
okay, so once their beat writer says, because the players somewhat downplayed it, and Mike Tomlin was like, I don't know what happened or what, he claims ignorance. But the one Steelers beat reporter whose name escapes me right now said this was not just a typical dust up, that Claypool and Minka were throwing haymakers at one another. And so, obviously fights happen, and some people tried to say that to me, and I'm like, okay, this is not just a Troy Hill Giants, fight or whatever, right?
Troy Hill Sterling Shepard, where there was zero connection on those punches.
No, these are serious. Like these are, and you know what? Okay, so you understand players on opposite teams fighting. You get that, right? To whatever extent. Teammates fighting is completely different. And if they're really trying to hurt one another, I think that matters.
It matters. I don't know how much, but it does. So I don't think you can completely brush it under the rug like I think people are trying to do.
Well, when you combine it with the fact that TJ Watt's still unsigned, then then you've got Juju doing the stupid milk crate. I mean, granted, more power to you if you want to do the milk crate challenge, but dude, there are people getting hurt falling off those things. And
I'm just saying, like, if I see that, like, I know the TikTok thing, it is what it is, but I don't care about that. But if I see that, that's like they talk about remember when Kellen Winslow tore his ACL riding a motorcycle that his contract forbid him from riding?
Yep.
Like, that's level stuff. Like, people are getting seriously injured doing the milk crate challenge, and you're just like, it'll be okay because I'm a football player. I'll do whatever I want. And then you say, well, he completed it. No, it's the same thing as that when you go from the argument between should your starters play in the preseason or not. It's the same argument to me, because in that same situation, you go, well, they didn't get hurt in this game. Well, but J.K. Dobbins did in that game.
Yeah.
So, well, he didn't get hurt doing the milk crate challenge. Okay, but what benefit did that risk? What benefit?
Yeah.
Like I heard somebody talking about the Browns, like Kareem Hunt got 2 carries. Kareem Hunt's not better for playing those snaps. It's like it kind of you got to the benefit needs to outweigh the reward. The risk needs to the reward needs to outweigh the risk, and in this case it doesn't. And so and John weighs in. At least Hill and Shepard were on opposite teams, which is kind of what we're getting at.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to have dust ups, especially with joint practices. He also says that LeCount was a pleasant surprise. Yeah. Agreed. I was down on LeCount. He was the one draft pick that made me scratch my head. You can go back to episode 5 when I did a breakdown. I said he has some good traits, but he's got the hardest path to the roster. I just retweeted a quote that said all 15 players from the 2019 and 2020 drafts are on this 53-man roster.
We got to dive in to all of that.
We got to get in on this, yeah.
The only thing I want to say is that John Harbaugh defended playing J.K. Dobbins, saying that we have played the Ravens, like our team's starters, some of the least of any team in the preseason. It's like, okay, that's not an argument, right? You are putting your players at risk if you play them in preseason, no matter if you play them 1 snap or if you play them 50 snaps, right? That risk still exists because you're putting them out there. So taking the risk, if you're taking the risk, I don't care how large or how small it is, it's still a risk. So I'm just saying, saying Juju successfully did the milk crate challenge or whatever does not change the fact that there was risk involved. And so, I just capitalized on that because right now the Steelers not having if I was a Steelers fan right now, or if like this, and we've been through it all as Browns fans, like this is not a fun off season for them. This isn't. It can't be. It can't be.
There's uncertainty in an organization that hasn't had uncertainty like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, it's funny to me because several people like made comments to you about, oh, you're somebody called you like the biggest piece of shit on the internet, which I'm like, wow, there's actual racists on the internet, but whatever. But I commented on a few of them because I love when someone tries to tell you how stupid you are while quote tweeting you, because that's my favorite thing ever, because you got him more views, you idiots. Which is why I don't quote tweet asinine things. I will comment on it, and then I may quote it in a tweet and talk about it, like if Tannenbaum says something. But I'm not giving you views. That's a funny. Let's get into the 53.
Yeah. I'm ready. Got some spice. Hot spice. I love this. What do you think? Offense or defense first?
Let's see. I don't know. We're already kind of on the defensive side.
Okay, I'm in.
So I say we can go on that side. I'm going to try to bring this up. I have it on here real quick. Hold on a second.
Okay. We definitely could. So we very briefly, obviously we've touched on McDowell more than enough, but we did, you and I both talked about how Jordan Elliott was, maybe a potential question there at defensive tackle. And I'm really glad, to see him have stepped up in the last 2 preseason games and look like somebody that was taken, obviously it's preseason, but for Jordan Elliott to look like he's simply better than some of the guys that are out there, like, you need that.
Well, it's funny because when like people talked about McDowell, they're like, it's against 3rd and 4th stringers and 2nd stringers and all this stuff. And I'm like, well, but nobody else is doing it.
Yeah.
If it's that easy, why isn't Marvin Wilson and Tommy Togiai doing it?
So for Jordan, the same thing goes for Jordan Elliott then, right?
Yeah. I mean, guys like Andrew Billings and Tommy Togiai was a 4th round pick, and Marvin Wilson, who got the biggest undrafted free agent contract, like, they're not doing it. They're not doing it,
So both of them in tandem being dominant, like they were, speaks volumes to me. I was really hoping, because a lot of people said all kinds of great things about Jordan Elliott and how he just needed time and that kind of thing.
And it's starting to look like that was the truth.
I have a question about Marvin Wilson, because we did spend a lot of time on him. And last year, the Browns drafted AJ Green and paid him a significant amount of free agent money. I don't think it was the most like Marvin Wilson, but they paid him.
Yes, it was.
Oh, it was. Okay. So 2 years in a row, the Browns spent the most money on an undrafted free agent. And they got AJ Green through to the practice squad. And then now he's made the 53-man roster. I wonder if there's any chance that Marvin Wilson gets through the practice squad, takes his year to grow, develop, whatever. Because obviously the Browns are doing that. AJ Green's proof of that.
Yeah.
And then maybe down the road, a year down the road, we could look really smart for saying, Marvin Wilson has all this potential. Good. Because I know we've said this before, but he was gimping from the time we were at camp, like right when it started, to the time I was at camp, the last public day of camp. He was gimping, and so you could tell he's not 100% right. So I would, is there a chance? Do you think he gets to the practice squad?
I thought when the preseason began, I thought no, because he was such a hot commodity, you had to outbid people for him. But do you realize that he didn't register a single statistic outside of being charged with a penalty this preseason?
I did not know. Wow.
Not a tackle, not a pressure, not a hurry, not a hit. Like that's pretty bad. Like, I mean, it was like Tommy Togiai had 2 pressures. Like, that's bad too. But like, it was bad. So
okay,
I would have said like a month or so ago, I would have said absolutely not. Mm-hmm. But at this point, I think Marvin Wilson could make it back. Now, I don't know if he's interested, because there's a lot of those people get cut and they're like, I'm not interested. Of course, that also depends on what is offered to them out and about in the free world, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, we're rocking the OBJ.
Love it
tonight. So before we get into it, we wanted to say a special thanks to everybody. As well, all of our likes, comments, subscribes, all the kind words on Twitter, all the 900 people watched our first half watch party with
Love
the
that.
Falcons, not live, but 900 people to date. As we kicked off this show, had watched that. We had a lot of fun doing that. Maybe we'll bring it back next preseason. Can't focus on that stuff during the regular season.
No.
Thanks again to everybody that subscribed to the Patreon. Just a real quick shameless plug. Patreon gets you early access to all of our special episodes. We did one with Stephen Thomas a couple of weeks ago prior to the first preseason game. I am working on an article tomorrow that will come out to the Patreon members. I will be focusing on my initial thoughts, some more in-depth thoughts about the 53, about some people that I thought should have made it, some people I thought that shouldn't have made it, and some of the where could we potentially go from now. All of my pieces that I write are exclusive to the Patreon members, as well as exclusive giveaways, including one next week of a t-shirt. There's 7 subscribers right now.
I'm definitely going to put together some fun quotes and stats from all of this for all our patrons too. It's amazing to even have patrons to this point. So, and we're going to continue to make it worth for it. Also, we're doing our shirt giveaway this month, correct?
Yes, next week, I think.
Yes, next week to all our patrons. So we have 7 patrons, right? So if you become a patron, you have a great chance of winning a shirt.
Great chance of winning a shirt. We told you guys, hey, you support the show, you get with the Patreon, it will help the show grow. Mm-hmm. We are taking the Patreon money and turning it into an NFL Game Pass subscription, which comes to our second announcement starting next week. Yeah, we're doing it next week for the Chiefs, right? Okay. Starting next week, we will be releasing a pre-recorded non-live episode about 20 to 30 minutes each week, probably coming out Friday morning. So you got it all through your Friday and your weekend. I will be, me and Nick will be combing through all of the film of our upcoming opponents. It'll be a little bit hard for the Chiefs, so I'll probably watch some of their film from the playoffs as well as their preseason games that their starters played in and kind of give you guys that. So what we're going to do is we're going to break down the film. We're going to give you a second episode later in the week coming out around Friday, and it's just going to be a preview episode. Based on what we have seen on film, we're going to be studying the film using, the money, the proceeds from the Patreon. We got a subscription to the Game Pass, so I've already started. I love it. I'm serious. I haven't started on the Chiefs, but I've started rewatching the Browns preseason because I love this. On Game Pass, you can watch all of the games in 45 minutes. Because they take out all the commercials and all the how there's 30 seconds between plays. They cut that out too. So it's a play and then right to another play, then to another play. It's great, and I love it.
Wait. I can't. I'm so excited to do that.
I'm such a nerd. I'll have to give you. Remind me to give you the login information.
Yeah.
I'm such a football nerd, and I absolutely love it. So we are going to break down film. It's going to be coming out on Fridays. We have some busy, hectic schedules, so sometimes it might just be me. Sometimes it might be me and Nick. Sometimes it might be just Nick. I don't know. We don't know. But we will be breaking down some film and adding some extra stuff to that, about 20 to 30 minutes on a Thursday night, and I'll drop it on Friday mornings kind of thing. So that is the T's and P's. We're going to go into the defense, Nick. You want to go defense?
Yeah. So we've touched on it a little bit, right?
So do we want to do the rest of the defensive line?
Yeah. Let's do that.
So let me list the defensive line, and then we'll talk about what we have and where I think we could potentially go. Okay. So defensive lineman is 8. I thought it was 9 at minimum. Also, we have some comments. I think 2 of these players that made the roster today go on IR tomorrow, which brings 2 more people potentially back. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Myles Garrett, Malik Jackson, Andrew Billings, Jadeveon Clowney, Takk McKinley, Jordan Elliott, Malik McDowell, Tommy Togiai. To me, okay, this is what I'll ask. I'll go with you first, Nick. Surprise. Surprises, either surprised make it or surprise cuts. From the defensive line, top to bottom, anything that surprises you?
So, I mean, it wasn't surprising to me once he came back, but I was definitely getting nervous about Takk McKinley. And so to see him there, that was really exciting to me. And you know what? We touched on it a little bit, but just the way Jordan Elliott really came on in preseason, and because we definitely, and Stephen Thomas, I think, was also concerned about him. And
a little bit.
I was definitely encouraged by that. And so I don't think because to most people they're gonna be like, oh, Malik McDowell, but we've been on that train since July, so
after he finally stepped on the field and just flashed once, I was like, okay, we're good.
Jacob pointed him out to me. He's like, if we're at camp, and he's like, Nick,
yeah.
I was like, what? And he's like, just look over there. And
I said, do you know where McDowell is?
And he is so. He's incredibly. You know what? I was gonna look it up and make a point of it, but Malik Jackson's 6'5", so he's at least in McDowell's realm. I don't think anyone else is over 6'4".
Yeah, McDowell's 6'6".
6, yeah. So it's like, dude, those two, but yeah. So to me, nothing too surprising on the defensive line. We'll get into more in a little bit, but that's where I'm at. How about you?
Yeah, so I'm just gonna shout out to our good friend Crazy Dog. He's joining us again this evening.
Hi, Crazy Dog.
How you doing, my friend? John, I did see your comment, and I thought I put it up there, but I didn't. One of the first times the cut to 53 hurt. Agreed, 100%. We will get into that, and I have to pay the piper at the end of this show. Anyway, I'm not in a good mood. Really? God. 25 minutes in, we're still laughing about that. Okay. To me, the only surprise is Joe Jackson. I thought Joe Jackson had showed you enough to make it as DN4. Obviously, they only have 3 defensive ends on this roster. That is absolutely not going to be the case. I've heard through the grapevine that expect them to go claiming a defensive end and a tight end. I think that both of those make a ton of sense. Yeah. As I think that when we get to the linebacker rooms, Jacob Phillips is going on IR tomorrow. So there is immediately a roster spot right there. And I think that roster slot is a defensive end. You're either claiming one. I don't know that you trust the waiver wire because you're 26th on the waiver wire. But, I don't think you necessarily go there. But I think they kept 10 offensive linemen. We'll get to that in a second. I think one of them potentially could be shipped out for a defensive end. I'm not really sure because kind of the guys they kept, I think I want all 10 of them on my roster because I think one of them, I think Michael Dunn goes to IR as well. We'll get more into that when we get to that side of the ball. But no, I don't. There's nobody on this list that I don't think should have been. And the only one that I would have liked is I like Joe Jackson. He may come back if they can't get something else, he may be back. There's several guys. I think Elijah Lee potentially comes back. I think that when Jacob Phillips goes to IR, that it could be Elijah Lee. Elijah Lee is a veteran, vested vet? Is that the word?
Yeah.
And he doesn't have to go through waivers. So if Elijah Lee, which is kind of similar to, remember when they cut Greg Robinson the day before so that they could get Drew Forbes onto the 53 so they could put him on IR, and then they brought Greg Robinson back. I think you could potentially see something like that. But defensive line, outside of not keeping a 4th edge, I'm fine with that list. That is a fine list of defensive linemen, I think.
Just real quick, I want to say Sheldon Day played with the ones for some amount of time. And for him to not make it, that was a little surprising to me. I did think Sheldon Day had a good shot at it.
I thought before last weekend he was probably defensive tackle 3.
Yeah, no, that seemed
before Jordan Elliott and McDowell played really well again.
So in general, just the surprising thing, or just the good thing, I think, was that preseason allowed our defensive tackles to look like you would hope they would. So, I don't think suddenly the defensive tackle room is going to be like the best in the NFL or anything, but it gives you some confidence that they're not just going to be pushovers.
We talked about it a million times on here. I thought that was the biggest question mark going into the season. And I think there's still some questions, but I think a lot of them got answered. Mm-hmm. John agrees that you should still be in a good mood.
I am. I'm having a good time.
Crazy Dog asks if McDowell can play the edge or tackle. If we think that plays into things, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Same with Malik Jackson. He could play the outside, as well as Clowney being able to play inside. Because I think Togiai, I think he's going to be inactive for most of the year. I just don't think he's ready. And he could go on IR himself. I don't know. I'm sure a couple vested vets agreed to the cut and come back. I think so. So our cuts could be starters on other teams. Yeah, several of them.
Agreed. So,
So
so if we're moving, are we moving to linebacker?
we are 7 linebackers. I thought they kept 5 and they kept 7. Of course, it's really at 6 because Jacob Phillips goes to IR tomorrow. It's interesting that they think, because clearly they think Jacob Phillips can come back this year. He tore his bicep. That's usually like a 10 to 12 month injury. So it's fascinating. We're big Jacob Phillips fans here. So that was a pretty disappointment. So Mac Wilson make the roster. I had a few rants about Mac Wilson. I went on Twitter today and a couple people ragged me just a little bit. A couple of people, and I appreciated the hell out of it. And I said, hey man, I'll take my lumps.
Yeah.
I admitted it. If he gets better, I think he was better. He was better. I thought he was pretty decent against the Falcons. I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah, there's all this trade. Other teams are interested in trading for Mac Wilson. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, it all happened pretty quickly. But I didn't believe it. But I mean, more and more trusted sources said that it happened. Albert Breer said it, so it happened.
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
I said it on the show. Mac, please prove me wrong. It seems like just an amazing dude. He loves Cleveland, so I wanted him to be good. He seems like good for Mac Wilson. Good for Mac Wilson. Anthony Walker, Sione Takitaki, Malcolm Smith, Jacob Phillips, Tony Fields, and JOK. The interesting thing about that list is they think they can get Tony Fields ready for week 1. That came out today.
And he's played like nothing.
No, he hasn't. He's like not even participated in rookie camp. He hurt his foot. He came back and he had hurt the other foot.
Yep.
Like he hadn't played in any of the preseason. Like I love Tony Fields. I think he's a special teamer, especially out the gate. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what they're trying to get him ready for week 1. So surprises in the linebacker room. I take Jacob Phillips out of there. For me, there is no surprises because the biggest surprise is that Elijah Lee got cut because I think they need a special teamer. But potentially you put Jacob Phillips to IR and he comes right back. The surprise for me is I didn't think Mac Wilson would turn it around. Good for him. Bravo. That's great. But for me and the linebackers, I'm not surprised. I think that list is better than some people want to admit it in the national light. Sione Takitaki can stop the run. Malcolm Smith is pretty good against the pass. Anthony Walker is a great leader, and JOK speaks for himself. So where's your feeling on the linebacker room?
I just think you mentioned Elijah Lee. They must really think a lot of Tony Fields, and not that I thought he was going to get cut.
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying? It's like that spot is really valuable, and for him to have not really played at all, being a 5th round pick, you could see them just being because no one else has seen him. Right. So there might be some chance you squeak him into the practice squad if that's the route you wanted to go. And they were not willing to take that risk. So and we raved about the guy in another previous episode. And so to me, that just confirms all the
Lane Adkins raved about the guy. And if Lane Adkins raves about a guy, then I'm going to see why.
Man, I miss Lane. He hasn't been on Twitter in a long time.
He has not. Good for him.
Hey, yeah. Hi, Ashley. Yeah. Ashley says she's proud of Mac. His love for Cleveland is unmatched, and there's certainly no denying that. So, another hot button. If you want to tweet about Mac Wilson, people will like it, and they will talk to you about Mac Wilson because
one way or the other. John says he loves Mac. Trust me. John says he loved Mac's drive. He has decent instincts. He's been close to most plays. Mac's biggest issue was he didn't trust his eyes. And I definitely feel he trusts them better. I just don't think he sees what happens in front of him and process them very well. He's always had all the physical traits. I just didn't think he was processing things super quickly. He definitely has improved on that one. Crazy Dog says he watched McDowell's media presser today. He was really impressed. He was humble. He was honest. He was open. That's what Crazy Dog says. And I was, man. He told you about being in prison. I mean, he didn't hold any punches. And it was just like, they asked him like, what was it like? Come back. He was like, man, I just had to get my body right. And you could tell that he's just like, man, not that there was nothing to it, but he's like, there isn't a big secret. Like I just had to work. And he's put in that work, and I think it looks really good. Actually, there's another. John said that JOK is thinner out of pads. He is a little. He's 218. Like he's an undersized linebacker. I think he's more of a safety, but it is what it is.
Yeah, he may put on weight. I mean, this is just a lot of these guys, and I think we're still in this old Browns mindset where these guys got to come in and they immediately have to be these stars. And just it's like there's no development, there's no time to see any of this progress. Like Harrison Bryant, for example, put on a ton of muscle.
11 pounds, I think,
and that's huge. And I think we're gonna see that.
I think you already have.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so, like, I think as time goes on, we need to, especially as we build depth, because this is really just the beginning of really having this type of talent, because Andrew Berry's getting in the second year. But as you go into year 3 and year 4, you're going to build on years of this. And so they probably will start taking guys who have higher upside and can develop over time. Tommy Togiai, for example.
Did you see that AB is already setting up next year's backup quarterback, and he's going to bring Nick Mullins to the practice?
I like Nick Mullins.
I do. I think Nick Mullins. Bad. He's a Case Keenum kind of guy. I mean, he's the kind of guy that if Baker goes down for half the season, I think we're cooked. If Baker goes down for 3 weeks, especially if it's during like a stretch of really bad games, Case can win 2, if not 3. Like, because there's some stretch where we play some bad teams, and I think Case can win some very good games, and I think Nick Mullins is the same. But it's clearly next year's backup or this year's if something terrible goes wrong. Yeah. And it's just like, I saw that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. I think, and it's funny, the Kyle Shanahan offense, Kevin Stefanski offense, not all that different from my favorite 2 offensive coaches in the NFL. Kyle Shanahan remains. I love Kyle Shanahan. But anyway, I have a lot of faith in Case Keenum. I think he showed, they went to an NFC championship game, fluke pass or not, to Stephon Diggs. They went to an NFC championship game. And I think the talent around the rest of the Browns roster has increased so significantly. I think it was Bill Barnwell today that was talking about the Browns as one of the top teams to regress because their point differential was so bad last year, and they were like one of only.
Wasn't it Tom Moore?
I'm not sure. I was just listening. They were using the point differential argument, and like, whereas I understand that, and it makes a lot of sense, in terms of the fact that the Browns were a really rare team, and the fact that most teams with our negative point differential don't win as many games as we did. But that completely discounts the fact that the
Browns got blown out twice.
Well, that's a great point, right? Especially week 1, and then obviously week 5 against the Steelers. Those two points matter, but it completely discounts the fact that the Browns were trotting out half of a practice squad secondary for a large part of the year. Like, the defense has improved so significantly. I don't think you can just say, oh, well, the Browns are like, they're still talking about the Browns like they don't have this defense, and especially the secondary.
Like Andrew Sendejo's still out there.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm sure we're about to go into the secondary, which leads it's really well a good lead there. It's just you replaced these guys. John Johnson is one of the best safeties in football, and people just and Troy Hill was the best slot corner. It's not slot.
Yes,
nickel. Slot corner. Yeah.
Yes.
So the Browns took 2 of 5 of the best secondary in football and just plucked them off the Rams. And it's like people just don't reference.
Now they're adding that McDowell fellow.
Yeah. I just, and you know what? Myles Garrett's not healthy for most of the time. Olivier Vernon was not healthy, then
and then not, and then Myles wasn't healthy. They were never both 100% at the same time.
And you are kidding yourself. Takk McKinley is so the Browns' 3rd defensive end. His name escapes me right now.
Adrian Claiborne.
I wanted to call him Sheldon Richardson. I was like, that's not Sheldon Richardson.
It's not.
Takk McKinley is light years better than Adrian Claiborne. And it's just, there's so much more to this Browns defense than there was last year. So to use the point differential argument, I get it if the defense was the same or similar, but it is completely overhauled. I just little soapbox real quick. Sorry.
No, you're 100% right. We'll jump into this. Yeah, that's my thing. Oh yeah, you see, like, you keep getting those statements in the national and for other fandoms will be like, oh, did you see the Browns? They're the Browns. They're off their defense, and I'm like, there's 9 new starters on defense. 9. It is not the same defense.
Nope.
our good friend, Browns fan for life up there in the Great
hello to
White
Canada.
North. He says that AB is just getting his feet wet. This is going to be our norm for years, that teams will feed off of our cuts. I agree. Ed weighs in. The point differential was so stupid because we have totally different defense. Personnel matters, obviously.
Shout out to Ed. Hello, Ed.
Our defense is so underrated. International media. Crazy Dog weighs in. If Case Keenum didn't have the dead cap money cutting him, I believe he would be out. I'm not sure about that, just because I don't know that it's necessarily fully justified, but Kevin Stefanski has a love of Case Keenum, and I will trust that man until I have reason not to.
It is very, very rare to have a backup quarterback that you've had the type of success with that Stefanski has had with Case Keenum.
Yeah. Okay. 10 defensive backs. I got all these guys right.
Hit me.
I got all of them right.
Oh, you did? Yeah. Hey, let's go.
Yeah. There was one spot that I thought I could make up some ground, and I did not. Denzel Ward, Greedy Williams, Ronnie Harrison, John Johnson III, Troy Hill, Greg Newsome, MJ Stewart, Grant Delpit, AJ Green, Richard LeCounte. The word is that MJ Stewart is basically corner 5.5 and safety 4.5. I still think they could potentially add a safety. I thought Javonte Moffett was the guy because I had not seen anything from MJ Stewart in a while. The Orange and Brown practice was the last time I recall seeing much of MJ Stewart. I have no surprises here other than I just thought Javonte Moffett would sneak on the roster. But overall, I'm pretty good on the defensive backfield. I think that's a solid number. How do you feel?
I love, referenced it early in the show, love the growth of AJ Green. You paid that guy a lot of money. He came here. I lost the quote because I had it in my old phone, but he's quoted as saying that the biggest reason he came here was that he was comfortable with Joe Woods. And so I'm really glad that, they obviously there's been a lot of development there because he wasn't ready last year. Now here he is, and you saw him a few times in practice, like in videos, just showing out, and he was covering Anthony Schwartz with him stride for stride. So love that from him. And as we go deeper and deeper into these shows and I learn a lot about myself, I am a sucker for value. Richard LeCounte, baby. I love it. God, he's going to be good.
Richard LeCounte. I'm it's one of those things where when you kind of I remember when he got drafted and I just kind of went, oh man, are we sure? Are you all right, I'll trust you because so far AB has been great, but but then he comes out there and I think back to that Jacksonville game where he just so beautifully played center field. He is such a center field safety, and it's perfect in this 3-safety system where you can put Grant Delpit or Ronnie Harrison or John Johnson in the box, and you can man up the other one, and then you can let LeCounte just say single high, and you say, hey, whichever half of the field they need you on, you get over there, and that's just this free range freedom. I think LeCounte is perfect in that role. I think he is set up perfectly for success here in this system. And we're AJ Green dudes. We were AJ Green dudes when both of us when camp started. And AJ Green showed up. He showed up and he said, you got Greg Newsome, but don't worry. Something happens. There's injury history with Greg Newsome. There's injury history with Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams. Greg Newsome outplayed Greedy Williams. I'm not so sure that AJ Green didn't outplay Greedy Williams. And that's where I stand. I think he's ahead. I think Greedy Williams is probably 4 or 5 on that depth chart.
I think, and he's not bad. No slight to. I think Greedy's.
It's not even that much of a shot at Greedy as it is a promotion of the other guys.
And you see the way the whole NFL passes a million times a game now, and all of a sudden Andrew Berry comes in and he's like, "Okay, offensive line, we're going to protect our passer, and we're going to stop. We're going to rush the passer, and we're going to stop the pass." Right? So it's like you see the 3 priorities of Andrew Berry. I love the way he does things. I love it.
Ed wants to remind us that AJ Green can catch punts. I still don't know what the hell was going on with that. I mean, I thought it was funny. I laughed very loud, but I don't know what the hell he was doing. I don't know what he did have. He also had a pass breakup. I think he is very good. He's not quite as sticky as Greg Newsome is, but he's still great. Crazy Dogs asked why I was iffy on LeCounte. Had tackling issues at Georgia. He looks to lay the boom a lot, kind of similar to JOK, and quite often misses the tackle because he goes for the big tackle. I thought at times I was worried about his recovery from the motorcycle accident because his pro day was awful, and it had been so far removed, and he claimed to have been healthy going into it that I was like, well, will he ever? Like, is he going to get that stuff back?
Andrew Barry's picking up guys off motorcycle accidents, ATV accidents,
Jail.
Well, that too. Just all these factors that Andrew Barry just sees through. And I just want to say I've really been interacting with Mike in the 330 a lot.
Yes, he said hello. Hello,
Mike.
Mike.
Big fan of Mike. Hello, Mike. Glad to see you, friend. I'm really excited about the secondary. I think if anything, that is, to me, that's the biggest strength of the defense.
Yeah, because I'm not sure what's going on. I thought there was some real depth in the edge room with Weaver in tack, and then Weaver just never materialized. I guess that's the biggest disappointment for me in that defensive line room was Weaver, but I think we kind of already talked about that in the last couple episodes, that he just was not anywhere near what we thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
And so you just kind of –
I missed the boat on that one. I can hear my uncle asking me about it now because he likes to ask me about these things I get excited about. And I missed the boat on the Curtis Weaver train. So it was a free pick, right? Andrew Barry scratched off a lottery ticket, and it wasn't a winner. I'm glad he scratched the lottery ticket. Keeps Malik McDowell's obviously Malik McDowell hasn't done anything yet, but it certainly looks like that's going to be a winner, right? You win some, you lose some. All you just need a GM that is going to continue to make all upside, no downside moves. That's what makes Andrew Barry so great to me.
John weighs in that he believes that the defensive line is the strength. I will say that I think it's the secondary because they have better depth.
Agreed.
You got Clowney and Miles and Tack. If you believe Tack is fully back, which I do, you don't even have a fourth edge.
Yeah.
Tommy Togiai right now can't play dead.
Man, dude, you were so excited about Togiai, and right now
I do. I love Togiai, and I still think he has a bright future. But right this second, he can't play dead.
I get it.
And Andrew Billings is getting his ass whipped. So, when it comes to just top to bottom, I think the secondary is better. I think the defensive line is probably better top. The top is probably better, but I don't think they have quite the depth that the defensive backfield has. Right. But I very much respect that opinion because it is based in fact.
As we switch over to the offense here, I just want to say you would make my day if you would hit that little red subscribe button on YouTube. I check it every day, and I just need to go up a little. You know what? We're so close. 225 shirt giveaway. We're close. 55 more. You would make my day. I'm just saying.
Hit that little red button. Give me a little follow. Here, let's put this graphic up here.
Ooh.
Put this.
Yeah. Hey. Shout out to you, Jacob. So for those who don't follow Jacob, A, you're making a mistake, and B, my guy, you just every day, man, you've just been coming with a different. It's really cool, how you and I kind of segue between one another because our content is so different, and Jacob's coming every day talking about a specific player or some kind of.
I like to think that I highlight players or positions. I think that's what I try to do.
I love to see your content grow, and it certainly has, since I've known you, and I look and it's all of a sudden, oh, hey, there's Jacob going crazy again, and I see your five, and so I think you've been doing a great job, and if you don't follow Jacob, you definitely should.
I appreciate that. I appreciate all the follows, all the likes, all the comments every day long. When I take my breaks at work, I catch up and see what's going on. On my lunch break, I like to interact with a lot of people and try to catch up on what has happened because I am very busy during the day. So there's plenty of times where I have absolutely no idea what's going on. Although I was sitting in a meeting and ESPN did go off on my phone to tell me that Cam Newton was cut. So that was a weird Wasn't even like something I cared about. I was like, come on now. This is ridiculous.
Jacob called me today. He makes the ESPN breaking news sound to tell me about the Browns 53-man roster.
I do it every time I call my dad. And even if it's just something stupid. I called my dad and I was like, doo-doo-doo. And he goes, what? And I was like, they say tackle practice tomorrow. Only reason I called them.
I love that.
Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. The DB's ability to give the D-line time will make a huge difference. Yeah. I think that is an underrated thing that it gets talked about a decent little bit, but like, especially on the national scale, like those corners, like you could throw the ball in like 1 second, not give Miles the time to get back there because your corners couldn't fucking cover. Yeah. And I was trying to find a better way to put it, but it's just straight up that your corners couldn't cover shit. And now it's a little bit different. Let's switch over to the running backs. We're going to lump them all together. So all 5 made it. I did not see this coming. I think I kind of saw it coming when Carlson went down. Yeah. Chubb, Hunt, D'Ernest Johnson, Demetric Felton, Andy Janovich.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So all 5 of your backs made it. And I think when Carlson went down, like I had Janovich off the roster so that D'Ernest Johnson could make it. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as Carlson went down, I was kind of like, yeah, probably. I thought Johnny Stanton had a legitimate shot to be like tight end 4 because he kind of showed some flashes there. Yeah. So there's absolutely no surprise there. D'Ernest Johnson, I do have to give D'Ernest Johnson some props because like that dude has grown from last year. Yeah. I mean, he was a good player last year. I think he's a very good player. Like he was like a C+ player. He's a B- to a B player right now. I think he is the backup in most teams. He might even start on a team or two. Maybe. That's probably pushing it. But like if he's not behind 2 top 10 backs, he's getting double-digit carries if Kareem Hunt's not here. Even with Nick Chubb here. Like he's getting Kareem Hunt's role if Kareem Hunt wasn't here. Like that's where I think he has grown.
Yeah. I was very wrong about D'Ernest Johnson not making the Browns team. And I completely agree with you. Like if D'Ernest Johnson was a Baltimore Raven right now, I'd be pissed. But all I'm saying is like he and Gus Edwards, I think that's an even heat between who's going to be their lead back. Like I like Gus Edwards too, but I think D'Ernest Johnson could potentially be.
He brings a lot of the same things to the table.
Yeah. So
he's not as big.
I was very wrong on D'Ernest, and so I'm so glad that he's still here.
I only thought we were wrong because I didn't know that there was room.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, me too.
Like that was it. Like it was just because of Demetric Felton.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think Felton's probably actually wide receiver 6 more so than he is running back 4 because he's not getting carries. I don't think he gets a ton of carries. Unless it's on end arounds.
Sure.
Gadget plays.
He was breaking some tackles in that final preseason game there.
He was named the returner today, the kick returner.
I saw.
Which he very much deserves. We are huge Demetric Felton guys here on the show. There's nothing you can say bad about that running back room right now. I mean, top to bottom. Yeah. What are you going to say?
Did you see Demetric Felton's dad tweeting like congratulate him? That's awesome, man.
That was like I'm not. Who's cutting these onions?
I remember on the rookie minicamp episode of Building the Browns, Demetric Felton said this is the opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah,
to be a Cleveland Brown and to see him make the team now and look as good as he has doing it. I think his future is very bright with the Browns.
I have not finished this week's Building the Browns. I'm a little bit
I haven't either
behind. But Troy Hill is a bigger deal than I think some of us are making. I think Troy Hill's impact is going to be very, very similar to Anthony Walker's, where his leadership and on-the-field stuff is every bit – or I'm sorry, off-the-field stuff is every bit as important as what he's actually doing on Sundays. Let's move to the tight end room. Nothing to talk about. Austin Hooper, David Njoku, Harrison Bryant.
Hey, Hooper got some yak in that game.
That was such a brilliantly schemed open because you can't draw that. That's exactly how you draw it up. Yep. Those two defensive backs just running into each other. That was beautiful. And then he just turned into 2020 Austin Hooper on that fourth down.
Well,
MC that said that he was worried that Johnson might get picked up by Baltimore. Yeah.
I think they'd want him. I mean, he's a good player. He is.
The national media heads don't know how players are appreciated in the building. They love hot takes. Yeah.
Can I just say 1 second? You know what? I bought into what you were saying about the Browns not having a fullback anymore, and I'm really glad that they are still, because Stefanski talks versatile, right? So having a fullback still gives you that versatility to me, and so I am glad that they still have a fullback.
Andy Janovich, when he was traded for, I was told that we were getting the modern fullback, that we were getting Kyle Juszczyk Jr., that we were getting, and then last year he just dropped everything. He was not impressive. Now, this year, in the preseason, what I saw is what I was promised last year. If I can get a dude that is a threat to actually catch the ball, turn it up, and run some people over like I saw in New York. Well, I guess it was in Cleveland, but against New York, I'm all in. I love Andy Janovich. I just they weren't using him. They just weren't. Maybe they will this year. That's fine. Your 5 wide receivers: Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., DPJ, Rashard Higgins, and Anthony Schwartz. We will take a moment of silence for KhaDarel Hodge. Thank you.
I like KhaDarel Hodge, and I said this before. He's a good player. It's just an indictment on how good the Browns wide receiver room is. To me, that's just the fact of the matter. Like I think it was him or Rashard Higgins, and Higgins is just for whatever reason, nobody likes Higgins in camp. He's always buried, and then come season time, there he is, catching all these big passes from Baker. So I don't know. There's some things you can't measure, right? And so I just, for whatever he and Baker have, and he's found a way to make plays, and so. Whereas,
Hodge, something with KhaDarel Hodge is that was said over at the OBR, especially, was $2.1 million for your wide receiver 6 is a lot.
Yeah.
And once that was really spelled out like that, I was like, oh no, he really is gone. Like there were some rumors, and I thought they'd find a trade partner for him. But my understanding is they think there's a chance he comes back. I'm not sure he does. I think he gets claimed. I just think he does.
I do too.
He's probably wide receiver 2 in Detroit for.
I was gonna say, who does Detroit even? Who? I honestly I don't know, and I should know. Like I know T.J. Hockenson exists at tight end. I can't name now that Brashad Perriman's cut.
I was gonna say I knew Perriman was there, but he's not anymore.
I can't name a single. I'm gonna look it up right now because I need to know. Detroit Lions depth chart. Because I don't know.
This is a fascinating.
This is something.
Fascinating thing.
What even is okay?
How awesome is it that we are growing into a team that people want to play for? Great. MC thinks that Nick looks pretty smug. I do too.
I'm sorry. Hi, MC, by the way. Thank you.
Browns best line in football, best running backs, top 5 receivers, tight ends, top 10 quarterback. The offense will be historically dangerous.
So hear me out here. I'm on the Detroit Lions website, DetroitLions.com. They have an unofficial 21 depth chart, and they have a first teamer listed for every position except wide receiver. Their first team wide receiver position is blank. Their second team, so technically by default, their leading wide receiver right now is Khalif Raymond.
Who?
Khalif Raymond, followed by Tom Kennedy. Okay. What is going on in Detroit? You know what? And I feel for them because they're just like us. What is going on in Detroit? They should or would take KhaDarel Hodge in a minute. I think
they should.
Yeah, I don't know, man. That's
okay. So, and they cut both kickers. Yeah, Ed just weighed in. They cut both kickers. They don't have a kicker.
What are they doing?
Guys, just remember we're not the Detroit Lions.
We are not.
Hey, man, so this is the real question of the day.
Hit me.
So which of the following scenarios do you prefer?
Okay.
You have no nose, but you're really good at smelling fingers. Or be blind, but you have a really nice smile.
You're really good at smelling fingers?
You have really good smelling fingers. Your fingers smell things.
Oh, well, I can still smell. So I don't want to be blind. That would be, I couldn't watch Browns games anymore. That'd be pretty crappy. So I guess I have no nose. That'd be weird.
You have no nose, but your fingers smell.
You're like the Red Skull, right? Because he kind of doesn't have a nose.
He doesn't have a nose, no.
Yeah, I'll be the Red Skull. Sure.
Smelling fingers. Okay. Stupid question of the day out of the way. Okay, let's go to the offensive line. Let's wrap this. Let's wrap this. Once again, the 53 today will probably not even be the 53 tomorrow.
No.
So the offensive linemen, you got your starting five: Jed, Joel, J.C. Treader, Wyatt Teller, Jack Conklin. Your developmental: James Hudson, Michael Dunn, Nick Harris, Chris Hubbard, and a guy named Blake. I put out the tweet about a guy named Blake. What a journey for this guy. I think Michael Dunn is going to go on short-term IR. We're not really sure what's going on with his back. I've had back injuries in the past. They're nothing to laugh at. They're not something you want to have. But, that kind of paved the way for Blake Hance. I heard a bunch of people say, why in the hell do we have 10 offensive linemen? To that I answer, well, do you remember 2 years ago when we had 3 total?
Dude, look around the NFL right now. And I watch NFL Live as much as I can. It's like, Daniel Jones is literally getting murdered. Trevor Lawrence is getting beaten to a pulp. What?
Joe Burrow doesn't have a chance.
Again, him too. They're talking about, Chicago's offensive line is bad. They're talking about all these various teams that don't even have, like the Colts.
Anybody up there in Canada going to bed?
Oh, goodbye, my friend. The Colts just lost their left tackle for the season. The Packers just started one of the best tackles in the NFL on PUP, right?
Yeah.
Like these guys are they get hurt, and B, it's like a lot of these teams would kill to have Blake Hance or Michael Dunn right now.
Which also brings the question, does one of them get moved once they're both healthy?
Wow. I don't know.
Michael Dunn looks really good. He looked really good. Blake Hance can play literally all 5 positions. That is, Chris Hubbard's invaluable. James Hudson can't play right now at all. Nick Harris looked better. Good for you, Nick Harris, because I didn't think you could play.
That was my miss, right? Because I liked how, everyone said Harris is a scheme fit and like all that stuff. And so I'm hoping, so maybe he is our center of the future at this point. Could be another late round hit.
He definitely flashed. He definitely flashed more than he had lately. I don't know. I thought you should keep 10 offensive linemen. They're all good. Yep. All of those guys can play. James Hudson can't right now. Nick Harris only can play one position, but he showed that he can be, pretty decent at that one position.
Yeah.
Good for a guy named Blake.
Yeah,
Michael Dunn goes to IR. So some people who think that maybe Blake Hance or somebody gets traded, I don't think that's likely. Not until, so really it's 9 offensive linemen. Maybe Blake gets traded when Michael Dunn comes back to make room. I'm not suggesting it, but that's about the biggest prediction I could make when it comes to that. Why have an offensive line problem again? You got good ones, keep them.
And I think a big part of this is that a lot of our offensive linemen are on big contracts and not positive of what the future is for all of them. And so if you have guys that are promising already, I think you need to make the room to keep them because obviously it's one of the most important positions in the NFL. So many of these teams are begging for these guys. And if you have them cheaply right now, you're probably at some point, I don't know what's going to happen with Wyatt Teller. I hope he stays a Brown. I don't know though. Right. And so
I don't think he does. I think we're starting to trend towards Michael Dunn's your right guard next year.
Exactly. So, it's like you gotta keep these guys. And we're seeing already, we've seen 2 very important Carson Wentz has been beaten to a pulp in his NFL career, and he just lost his NFL tackle. I know I'm just rehashing this. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that's one of the best tackles in the NFL that Aaron Rodgers doesn't have right now. These guys can get hurt so easily. I mean, and so for the Browns to have this type of luxury is not something that, I mean, the Browns might have the best offensive line depth in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, we remember how talented the skill positions were in 2019 during Freddie's year. They didn't have an offensive line.
Yeah.
They had 2/3 of an offensive line.
2/3. So
2/5.
Yeah, 2/5. But yeah, so they're probably as valuable as any position there is to me. And so more power to you. Keep them. Hoard them as much as you can.
Yeah, I don't see a reason why. I mean, to me, I guess there was not a ton of huge surprises in this 53. It was shocking they only kept the 3 edge. I think they'll find another tight end. I think they'll find another edge. There's already going to be 2 vacated spots tomorrow with short-term IR, I think. There may even be more IR moves. Maybe even Togiai goes to IR. I'm not sure.
Interesting. Yeah,
I kind of hope Hodge goes somewhere to succeed. Like, I'm of the stance right now, right here, that I want to see that dude have a bigger role. Like, he was wide receiver 3 last year, and then he just got hurt and Higgins beat him out. I mean, what are you going to, and now DPJ looks like he's wide receiver, 2. He's 3, but he's already wide receiver 3. Higgins beat you out last year, so he's probably going to beat you out again this year. You had a little bit of a rough game, and then had a great game, but it was kind of too little too late against Atlanta.
I wonder if they just is Stefanski going to go way more 3 receiver sets? Is that a thing? I don't even know.
I don't know. I don't necessarily think so. I'm working on behind the scene what people don't know that I'm doing right now. Is I'm working on Name That Brown.
Oh yeah, that's a fun segment. I forgot about that.
We named our random Browns last week. We had a couple random Browns, and I'm going to hit Nick with this, and then I'm going to pay the piper.
All right, I like that.
So,
and granted, I'm not happy you have to pay the piper. By the way,
I think you are.
I'm not. I'm happy. I'm happy that I won the bet, but it wasn't a bet that I'm happy to I don't know. I mean, nobody wants to see Hodge go. I don't want to see Hodge go, but that's what I felt. So I guess I had to. I guess I ended up betting on it.
I think we're in a great spot, man. I think that the Browns are in a spot where they can still make some moves, move some picks, maybe move some guys for players. Check out the waiver wire. There's lots of commodities out there. They've got to have a plan at defensive end. I don't think the waiver wire is necessarily their biggest plan, because that seems kind of silly. When you're when you're 26 on the waiver wire and hoping a starter falls to you. I don't think it's really, you're not looking for a starter. You're looking for an edge 4 at this point. What? We're not looking for starters on the waiver wire anymore. Real quick, we're going to knock this out. Okay, guys, it's now time for Name That Random Brown. This guy played this. I'm pulling this from the 2015 roster.
Okay.
I thought this guy was the truth. A lot of it had to do with his name. I really feel like you're going to get this one. So we are going to bring up a former Browns linebacker. And we're going to see, can Nick name this Random Brown? Dun, dun, dun. Can he name this Random Brown? Can he do it? Number 51. He had the greatest name ever, but he was taken really early in the top 10, and we didn't know anything about him. 2015. He is still playing. He actually,
still playing. Wow.
He's not now. He's
Is it Barkevious Mingo?
Yes, it is Barkevious Mingo himself.
Wow.
He's kind of still playing. He's in some legal.
Wow. I got one.
Name the random Brown. It was Barkevius Mingo.
I'm really bad at that, you know.
Nick off the top rope.
Dude, I'm really bad. I'm really bad at that. Like maybe Ed could take my place.
It's all right. I really stumped you last week, so I was going to give you a little bit of an easier one.
I'm not really sure why. I feel like I push a lot of these guys just to like I remember the games and you know all that stuff, but I just push a lot of these players that cause so much pain. And not that Barkevius Mingo caused pain, but you know what I'm saying. Those years that caused pain, I push them away, push all the memories away. But that's okay because new Browns.
New Browns. All right, guys. I got to pay the piper. Some of you guys might want to turn this off. The Cleveland Browns cut KhaDarel Hodge. And next week we will be back. AJ will be joining us. We have a special guest. We'll talk about that here in a second. But he will also participate next week and name that random Brown. I got to get the 30 seconds on the clock. And
thank God it's only 30 seconds. Boy. This is going to be, especially in light of my tweet today, this is going to be
somebody's gonna cut this, record it, play it for the world.
So for those who don't know, we agreed in a previous episode, like in July, that if KhaDarel Hodge was on the roster, I would have to spend 30 seconds saying nice things about the Steelers. And if KhaDarel Hodge was not on the roster, Jacob would have to say 30 seconds of nice things about the Steelers. That was the bet because he was very shocked when I said that KhaDarel Hodge wasn't going to make the roster. And I was kind of shocked too, honestly. I just didn't see the room for it. And so here we are. And yeah, I guess here we go.
So if KhaDarel comes back, do you also lose?
Oh, wow. Well, because we said on the 53, right? So I think I've won. No offense.
All right. I've got my counter. You can see it. It is at 30 seconds. All right. Nice things that I have to say about the Steelers for 30 seconds. So yellow is the color of the sun. So it is very imperative. So I'm really all for having yellow in your color scheme. That's great. Black is in everything. There's black everywhere. I love it. Black, great color. Black, yellow, awesome colors. Way to pick awesome colors to really drive home that you're an awesome team. Boom. 30 seconds.
Yellow is the color of the sun.
Pew 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 pew.
That was worth it right there. My face hurts from smiling for those who can't see me on the podcast. Jacob did well. You did well. That is a piper well paid.
I worked all day on that. All day.
Well done.
Most of the day. Guys, we are seriously once again coming to close on episode 19. We've done a live watch along for the first half of a preseason game. We did a special episode with Stephen Thomas. So really we're over 20 that we've sat down and kind of gone through these. Some of them were very, very hard. We're now at the light at the end of the tunnel. Real football is 12 days away. KhaDarel Hodge days away.
Next Thursday, Cowboys Bucks, right? Cowboys Bucks.
Next Thursday, Cowboys
Thank
Bucks.
God, I'm so ready. I need it. This weekend is the biggest tease there is. You give us football, then nothing. I hate this weekend.
It normally doesn't happen because of there's normally a fourth preseason, so this weird bye week is just it's going to be hell for the next 12 days, and I can't. Thanks everybody again for joining us here today for all over the world. Next week we got a mission for everybody that's still in here live. Next week we will be joined by our good friend AJ. He will be helping us with our Nostradamus episode.
Yep.
We will be making season predictions for not only the Cleveland Browns, but around the league. We will pick Baker's passing yard numbers, Baker's touchdowns. We're going to hammer these things down. But what do you guys want us to predict? What do you want it to be on? If you are on YouTube, leave it in the comments. If you're live right now, put it in the chat. You can comment on the video. You can DM us.
Yeah.
You can comment on anything. Let us know what you would like included. We will finalize our lists probably this weekend, and then we'll start making our predictions. And next week, just chock full top to bottom. Any Browns moves that happen between now and then, we will also do. But then we will just off the top, we're just going to make predictions: Super Bowl winners, division winners, MVP probably. What kind of prediction?
And for those who don't know, last year, AJ did the whole playoffs, start to finish, before they started. And he accurately predicted all of the – so when the playoff field was set, he took the whole playoff field and did it, March Madness style. He predicted everything. The only game he got wrong was the Cleveland Browns and the Steelers. He predicted every other matchup correctly, including Bucks over Chiefs. The guy's crazy. He's a great friend of mine. He's a friend of Jacob's. Friend of the show, and we're gonna have a lot of fun because he's damn good at it. And so we've done like our record predictions, all that stuff. So why not? Let's have some, because we love being able to go back and reference stuff. So I can't wait. Like week 8, we like go back and we like see, what do we think?
I made a post today that I lost the battle, but not the war. Maybe there will be a wager on how many of our Nostradamus things. I think we've got 2 wagers. I think that are going to be season long. Maybe our how many Nostradamus things we get right. I also think we're going to play pick 'em each week and pick all the NFL games and probably make a big wager off of that.
Let's do that. That sounds fun.
So that's probably where we're headed in the coming weeks. And then next week, towards the tail end of the week, around Friday, not live, but a video and audio only version, probably on the Twitter, YouTube, and podcast will come out on my Twitter, and that will be of our breakdown of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Film break.
I'm not sure how often it will happen. I'm not sure any of that, but I do have aspirations to do like a Sunday morning type like little thing with Jacob, because I can't get enough of Jacob. And so I think it would be super fun to wake up, have some coffee and talk some Browns and, whatever. So, I mean, both of our schedules vary a lot. And so we'll kind of see, but we really enjoyed doing the preseason game, but it's not realistic to do with a regular season game.
I'm too into it, man.
Yeah. You can't pay attention well enough. So, and so I think it would be fun to do something like that and just kind of talk to you guys in the morning. We'll see how that shakes out, but Jacob and I are cooking up a lot of stuff for you guys. So thank you everyone for all your support. We are nearing a new milestone on the podcast listens. Thank you for that. It is amazing to even think so soon here as we hit September, we're going to get our first Patreon cycle. And like Jacob said, I've never had NFL Game Pass in my life, and you guys have enabled us to do that. And it's going to make us, better, A, more knowledgeable, and B, able to bring you more stuff. And so Jacob's working on his articles. I'm going to have some fun facts and quotes. I got to listen to the Malik McDowell stuff, but we're going to have all kinds of stuff because now the 53-man roster, and obviously it's going to change, but this is, here we are. There's real football time now. So I can't wait.
Lots coming your ways, guys.
Yeah.
We got all kinds of things coming your way soon.
Thank you, everyone. This was a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you guys all are too. Jacob, you're great. And so this has been the Bernie Kosar episode of the Barking Browns Show. I'm Nick. He's Jacob. And as always, go Browns.